This is going to be a funky fix tutorial on how to replace your iPhone 6 LCD. We're going to begin by turning off the phone. Next, you're going to need, for this repair, a pentalobe screwdriver, a normal Phillips head screwdriver, a pair of tweezers, and a plastic spatula. To begin the removal of the LCD, we're going to start by locating the two pentalobe screws next to the charger port and removing the two. Now, to separate the screen from the frame, right above the headphone jack, you just want to either wedge your plastic spatula or your fingernail in, and there's a small lip to grab, and start working your way around the edge of the phone. Careful not to be too forceful. You always want to make sure that you're in between the plastic frame around the LCD and the middle frame of the phone. Now you're going to slowly open the phone. Careful not to rip any of those small ribbon cables. So we're going to be working on those next. Now, to separate the screen, we need to remove these 5 small screws. This one right here is non-magnetic. Remember, we want to keep them in the same order as we took them out to avoid losing placement of the screws. I'm going to start with each of the 4 outer screws. This one being sometimes that non-magnetic screw, and then working my way right into the center. I find making a square with my screws and then placing the last center screw inside of all of them is one of the easiest ways to keep track of where my screws are. Now just grab your tweezers and remove that small plate. Now we're going to be removing the ribbon cables. Careful not to actually break any of the electronics attached to the motherboard, because it'll permanently damage your phone. And after we've gotten these 4 up, right there, that's the screen. We're going to be working on that in a second. In another video I have, we replace the rear-facing camera of the iPhone 6 as well. So to begin any repair, you want to remove the plate over the battery cable, keeping those 2 screws in order. Just go grab your tweezers, remove that little plate, and I use my fingernail. You can use a plastic spatula. Just pop open that little ribbon cable snap from the motherboard, disconnecting any power whatsoever to the phone itself. Now back to the screen. First things first, we're going to start by removing 3 screws over the speaker and camera assembly. You're going to want to keep these screws in the proper order that you remove them. After you've gotten all 3 screws out, go grab your tweezers, and we're going to remove that small metal plate, just like that. Now, lifting up the camera, you just want to pull out that small speaker. I'm going to grab my tweezers and remove the small, clear plastic molding holding the camera in. Now that we've removed the plastic camera molding, we're going to very, very gently wedge our plastic spudger in between the ribbon cable holding the microphone and sensors down and the frame of the phone. Just applying slight pressure in between, you should see the glue start to lift, and you can pull it off just like this. Make sure everything is in one piece You want to have no rips or tears in any of this. Moving on to the rest of the LCD screen, we're going to be removing the back plate. It consists of these 7 screws, 3 on each side, 1 down by the home button, and starting with the 3 on each side. They are all the same size screws, however, I always suggest keeping the screws in the same order and putting them back where you found them. Just helps everything stay nice and organized. You lose a lot less parts. You'll never have a missing screw at the end, like, oh well, one's missing. Or the worst dreaded outcome of cell phone repair, having extra screws. Now we're just going to remove this screw down at the bottom. And we're going to move right on to the home button. These 2 screws right here. Now, on the last iPhone, there was a ribbon cable attaching the home button to the motherboard. Now, on the iPhone 6, the ribbon cable is attached to the back plate. So we're going to need to take our plastic spudger and detach it right here, being really careful not to tear any of those ribbon cables. And you're going to super gently begin the process of removing the ribbon cables from the frame of the phone. It's a little bit difficult. There's a small amount of adhesive actually sticking that very, very bendable, breakable ribbon cable to the plastic frame that you might have to apply a little bit of pressure and be careful not to tear the ribbon cable itself, but eventually the glue should unstick and you'll be left with a ribbon cable attached to the back plate just like this. There should be no bends, no tears, at least not any bends that weren't put there. Now it's on to the home button itself. Remember, this home button and the ribbon cable are one whole piece, so you want to be sure not to tear that small cable. Now grab your plastic spudger and you're going to want to super gently wedge it in between the plastic screen and the ribbon cable itself, and then using a little bit of force without ripping the small rubber holding it around, just lift up from the front. It should come out in one whole piece just like this. Now that's what your old screen looks like, nice and bare. You're going to want to go grab your new screen. And we're going to start by removing the back plastic, just like that. And you're going to want to grab the small camera frame and put it right back where you got it on the old LCD. Just go grab your back plate, slipping the ribbon cable in between the 2 that are there. And just sort of form fitting it into place, making sure that your home button cable snap is in the proper place. Then just go grab your home button, put it right into place. There are little small nubs that actually help the ribbon cables fit right into place, so you shouldn't have much of a hard time getting those to stay on. Now go grab that plate over the home button. Now starting with the 2 screws right over the plate covering the home button. Just going to put those back in there, remembering which order they came out of. And always remember not to over tighten your screws. Moving on to the frame, I'm going to tighten these 7 screws back in, starting with the one at the bottom near the home button. Now, make sure that you've lined up the back plate with the frame of the LCD properly, and this right here will not happen to you. The screw will just start screwing right into place. Now that we've gotten all of the side screws into place, we're going to get our front-facing camera sensor ribbon display, and grabbing our tweezers, remove the little cover on top of the adhesive that will hold the mic down. And that's where I like to begin to stick this ribbon cable into, as it has the most grip. So pop that mic back into place, and everything else should naturally slip right into place. Just pressing down those sensors right in the small slots they came from. Now go grab your speaker and make sure that these 4 little dots connect with the 4 little connection points in the ribbon cable. Now don't be worried if it's a little bit loose, because the actual cover, this little frame right here, will hold everything into place exactly as it should be. I'll just grab these 3 screws, make sure they're in the proper order that you remove them, and put them right back in. And voila, you've replaced everything on your LCD to the new one. Getting back to the frame of the phone, you're going to want to reconnect the battery now that we're done with our repairs. Just grab that little frame, get the 2 screws, remember these need to be in the proper order, as well as most of the screws on the iPhone. Go grab your LCD digitizer, and we're going to re-snap these small ribbon cables. Now, make sure that all 4 of them are there. That should be the order. You start with the backmost one. It should feel a little bit like snapping a Lego piece into place. Just a nice little satisfying snap. Not using too much pressure, as you can damage some of the small connectors on the motherboard and your phone will just stop working. I've seen it happen. It is no fun. So just make sure you're nice and gentle here. Now, moving on to the 5 screws. Remember to keep those in the right order. If you followed my little square method or however you like, you can just start reinstalling those screws in the opposite order. Any order you really like, as long as they're the correct screw. But in my case, I start with the last screw that I removed, working my way backwards. After we get that final screw in there, it is time to close the phone up, making sure that the frame of the phone sits in there very flush. You don't want anything sticking out above the glass. Working our way from the speaker down to the home button. You just want to press nice and evenly. Shouldn't be too much pressure needed. Now go grab your pentalobe screws, as well as your screwdriver. Put those back into place. And voila. You're done. Power the device back on. Congratulations. Fix your iPhone 6 LCD. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more videos just like this. And as always, thank you so much for watching.